Hi everybody, I'm Brad with Big Family Homestead, and in this video we are introducing, or rather reintroducing, our interview series. Used to be called Chat Stock, but frankly, that name stinks. We're calling this now the Homestead Nation, so let's get cooking. That's right, after much soul searching and, well, frankly, people telling me that the name Chat Stock stinks, I came to my senses and we renamed our interview series into the Homestead Nation. It may eventually become its own channel. We've got the channel secured. I don't know. We're just going to basically title this thing the Homestead Nation. But basically, this is how it's going to work. We deal with other homesteaders, preppers, self-reliant types, people who are excellent at a certain, aspect of a field of self-reliance. We get together with them and we just basically chat. We ask each other questions and talk about what's on your mind, what's going on. And in this version today, we're going to be dealing with Carolina Prepper. I actually interviewed Carolina Prepper, and by the way, I didn't realize this, but Carolina Prepper is actually another person. This is Carolina Prepper 7. So to be more specific, because I don't want to disrespect anybody, but Carolina Prepper 7, He's the person that I had an interview with, and I was asking him a bunch of questions because he's really good in the field of finance. Well, we basically turned the tables and he's interviewing me. So this is kind of an overview of how I became interested in any of this stuff, how we got here. And I think it's a really cool talk. And don't forget to ask us questions at the end. Put them down in the comments if there's something you'd like to hear more about, or you have a question or a comment, but be nice. I'm very, very sensitive. So anyway, gonna get started right here into this conversation with myself and Carolina Prepper 7, so let's get to it.
Hey guys, Carolina Prepper here, and we got a very special episode here. This is an ongoing theme that we're going to be trying here, and we're going to flip the tables. We're going to bring in Big Family Homestead. We have Brad from Big Family Homestead. How are you, Brad?
I'm doing well. Thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm glad that we're able to do this again. The feedback from the first interview was very, very good. A lot of great questions, and basically we're going to just continue on with the theme, but we're going to turn the tables. And I get to play interviewer, and I know I got big shoes to fill, but I'm going to do my best. We want to kind of bring in your expertise. I found you through YouTube. We kind of started a dialogue. We started talking about how we can get together and collaborate and really kind of try to raise all the boats in this lake of preppers, this sea of preppers out there. And I guess we wanted to start out by getting an idea of who you are, what you do, and what makes Brad tick.
Ha! Well, that's kind of funny because I am version 2.0 of Brad. The people that know me from about 5 years ago before go, what? Who the heck is this guy? I basically, coming out of high school, got a record deal and was touring with Christian rock bands all over the world. I've even had the awesome opportunity of playing for the Pope in Rome and had some radio success. Yeah, there was 3.5 million kids there in Rome. It was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was surreal, man. It felt like you were actually playing for nobody because there were so many people that your peripheral vision couldn't pick it up. You had to look this way and that way to see the edges of the crowd. So it just looked like a sea of people. But anyway, yeah, no, I've had a lot of opportunity to do that. Been on the radio, touring with a lot of bands and all that kind of stuff. And my whole life, I've only been interested in like technology, recording studio stuff, computers, and, rock and roll. And that's been it. And about 5 years ago, I couldn't tell you why it happened. I honestly don't know. But one day, maybe I was just bored because I work at a church as a praise and worship leader these days. And I was just working and I wondered, I said, I wonder what it would be like to keep honeybees. And that is the most foreign thing in my world that nobody would believe. What would Brad be doing with honeybees? So I went and took a class and I went and got some gear and then I started doing honeybees. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. I started like a voracious appetite for figuring out how things grow and figuring out how things work. I've never, ever once in my life thought, boy, I sure would like to grow tomatoes. until then. And it was like this flood. And then all of a sudden I started learning more and more. I'd get hooked into different websites and different blogs and, finding out more and more about the real live trouble that our country is in. And as a society that we are absolutely circling the drain. And I've got a big family. I've got 7 kids. And it was a huge wake-up call for me when it was like, holy crap, dude, what would you do in the event of name it? And so it's become a healthy obsession, I would say.
Healthy obsession?
Well,
some would say otherwise, right?
Fortunately, my wife's on board with me, so I'd say healthy obsession. Because honestly, I don't understand why people would not want to be self-sufficient in every way that you can be. To me, it makes no sense. We go to the grocery store and we pay ungodly sums of money for chemical-laden GMO crap that's poisoning us and making us sick, when all it would take would be a little bit of information and getting a little dirt under my fingernails, and I've just fixed that problem. And I've also made it so that it can continue on and also be an investment, also get your kids involved and educated, and doing more economical, more efficient, better for you all the way around. I don't understand why people don't want to do that. To me, it's kind of like, you really kidding? You'd just rather buy that gassed, flavorless, lifeless piece of filth for $1? No, right. I'd rather grow it.
No, well, okay. So you just touched on a ton of stuff there. So talk about a path less traveled. You're a rock star that was into technology stuff. You played for the Pope. Yeah. In front of a sea of people. I mean, you're one person I've ever met that has that story. So talk about each of us being unique and having our own path on getting to where we've all kind of congregated in this prepper family that we're in now, because that's really what it is.
Amen. I honestly do believe that it's that way. Yeah, I like I said, I mean, I was in the rock star world, touring, tour buses flying everywhere, people taking you. Playing big concerts. We did a lot with major denominational stuff, a lot of it with the Catholic Church. There were big rallies called NCYC, which is National Catholic Youth Rally. Cool. Played in the Georgia Dome one time. That was a funny story, actually. Awesome. Because if you know anything about how bands play, now you have in-ear technology. Yeah. Where you're wireless. Well, I'm the singer at this point, and I'm running out. The stage is huge, and they got the catwalk just like U2 or anybody else, right? And I get way out there, and all of a sudden mine stops working. And I was in the middle of singing, and all I can hear is all the just reverberations. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in front of 40,000 kids, and I'm going to die right here out on the stage. So I hauled butt back and got next to the guitar, so at least I could get a pitch reference. But yeah, being in a band and touring and doing all that stuff, it's funny because I really do believe that all of our experiences that you have, your education, the way that you've lived your life has prepared you and brought you to the point of, okay, here I am. I am now better prepared to do everything else that I have done before better now, and now I'm going to keep learning and keep moving forward. And like I said, the honeybees, that's really what set me off. And I started learning. I've heard about this crazy guy named Alex Jones. You hear about him. He's a little off at times, but the information is solid. I mean, I can't take him when he starts screaming and yelling. But the information was so intriguing to me. And one thing that I found was very, very interesting is that completely disconnected from each other about 5 to 6 years ago, I would start calling friends of mine all around the country and all around the world, and they all had some instinctive, almost like a switch that went off in everybody's head, completely separate from each other, mind you, that they all instantly started getting interested in things that they would make, do, grow, self-reliance. Yeah, none of us were talking to each other. Everybody just clicked.
It really is this movement, and you and I talked about this before offline, where I said, I feel like I'm being called to do this stuff. I'm not consciously doing it. I feel like something's pulling me to do some of this stuff. And I know I'm not alone, and you just alluded to that there's people all around the world from all walks of life that are totally separated, that are all kind of getting interested in this movement to one degree or another, I guess.
Absolutely, and that's I think I think the way that you worded it, that it's more like a call, because I have had what I view as a religious experience call, being called to share the gospel with kids through the medium of music. That's what I did for 10, 15 years. But I would say that you nailed it, man. That's exactly how I feel about it. And I think you just verbalized what I've been trying to encapsulate for a long time. It's not that I feel like I have to do this. It's that I'm compelled to do this. It's not work. It's something that I just feel like I need to do. Of course, it's not like, excuse me, it's not like, Close Encounters of the Third Kind where I'm going to build, mountains of mashed potatoes. Hopefully we won't EMP-proof our dogs anytime soon. But I do feel it is a calling, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, listen, we're touching on a lot of things, but I got to just say this. One of the things that made me gravitate towards your channel is you kind of put a fun spin on prepping, right? I mean, sometimes...
Hey, the apocalypse, you got to have a party guy, right?
right.
Hey!
But seriously, sometimes we get a little too wrapped up in ourselves and get a little too serious about this because it's a serious subject. I mean, end times, global chaos, whatever you want to go down here as far as the road that you want to travel, it's very serious. And one of the things that made me kind of gravitate to you is the fact that you kind of put a different spin on it. You make me laugh, you make me smile, you make it fun.
Well, I've always been a goofball, to be honest. Even when you deal with stuff that's serious nature, like I believe that it's a very important thing for people to have a spiritual relationship with God. That's a very serious thing to me. But you can still have fun with it. And you know what? I think you're right. The prepper community to me is so funny because, if you're hanging around with military types, they're wound a certain way. A lot of them are wound a little more tightly. But the prepper types, holy bejeebers, guys, take a deep breath and calm down. Just calm down. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. You can have fun in this. And you know what? We don't need to just snap and everybody has a stroke all at once, but we'll be fine because we're in our bunker.
But
okay,
you said something a little while ago that I think it brings home a lot of this. We can utilize this hobby or this calling or whatever you want to call this lifestyle. We can really commingle it with a way of growing family and relationships within the family. And you said, hey, this is an opportunity for get outside and spend time with my kids and teach them new skills and get dirt underneath my fingernails. Talk a little bit more about that, having 7 kids, how that's brought you closer together.
Well, absolutely. And the funny thing is that one of the side benefits, because you hear it, everybody's very happy to point out the negatives of having a big family. Oh my gosh, they can't do this, they can't do that. We have a small army of workers here at our house. So when stuff has to get done, everybody pitches in and it gets done as a family. For example, this morning we built 4 earth boxes, transferred 4 moringa trees into those things. We've milked goats already this morning. We've already moved our chicken tractor. We've moved our rabbits. We've gotten a ton of work done. The yard's been trimmed. Everything's been done, and it all got done in 2 hours. And, yeah, it does build a unity and a trust that is it's different than when you're how do I say it? When everybody's doing their own thing. I mean, it's kind of funny because my kids are no different than any other kids. If I allowed them the free time to just sit and play video games all day, that's what they would do. But instead, we're providing other opportunities for them to learn and grow, and we give them that time. They can have, they can have X amount of time to do those things, but we largely fill our days with stuff that is practical information, hey, this is how you're going to survive. Here's how you can grow your own meat. Here's how you process your own meat. And you're absolutely nailing it, man. It does. It brings the family together in a way that I have not experienced since this being switched on, this being made aware that we need to dig in and learn and grow and do and come together as a community because something weird's on the horizon. Everybody knows it. And, it's, I think the people that are awake, that's how the way I would word it, the people that are awake need to communicate to those who they're just clueless. They're oblivious. The word would be ignorant. Ignorant does not mean dumb. Ignorant means I just don't know. I'm ignorant of the way that the satellite, technology is made in schematics. Doesn't mean I'm dumb. It just means I don't know. And I think that we need to bring our knowledge to people so that they can provide for themselves in the event of a cataclysm or a tragedy. And then they won't be just hand out. And if there is nobody with a hand to give them a hand, they're going to get hosed.
No, I agree. So one of the goals that we talked about in doing this type of a forum is to hopefully get some information out there and attract some people that maybe have been feeling that something's not quite right, or maybe they're trying to seek out some information, but there's also all that negative connotation about, preppers and building a bunker underground and, living in a bomb shelter for years after the Holocaust. What do you think? Because I vacillate when it comes to this. I go back and forth, and sometimes I want to scream from the rooftops, hey guys, you need to listen to this. And then other times I go, you know what? I tried to put some information out there. Good luck to you. I hope you make it. Good luck. Where do you kind of fit in that? Are you, or maybe you're somewhere in between?
Well, the thing is that I've had years and years and years of a similar kind of thing, in that my job was to communicate the gospel to people who may or may not want to hear it. So I understand exactly what you're saying, that it's something passionate to me, and I kind of want to convey it to you, but I also don't want to be a butthead and force anything down your throat, anything you don't want to hear. So the way I've kind of come about it, because I don't want to cram anything down anybody's throat. And once again, I mean, what's the saying that if you can talk somebody into something, somebody else can talk them right out of it. So it has to be something that you believe in your heart. So for me, I communicate what I feel is important to me. I do it in a way that I hope is entertaining, and I do it in a way that I hope is not pushy, not threatening. And if they want to go with me down that road, then we'll go further down that road. And for example, like a lot of the videos on my channel, some of them are just plain recipes, because there's a lot of people that are homesteaders who like canning and different cooking things. And I want to be able to give them something, an entry point, if you will, that if they go, oh, I like this, this, and this, and then they can explore different avenues and go further in. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about hardcore prepping, you're talking about stuff like weapons training. You're talking about defense. You're talking about, scary stuff. Well, how do you deal with that? You can't just bring a noob in and go, all right, here's how you clean your 1911. It's just not going to click. They're going to go, what's a 1911 and why do I need one? And why does it need to be clean? Oh my God, I don't have a 1911. What am I going to do? They're just going to freak out. So I think it's a process, and I try to bring people with. It is disappointing when you'll communicate something with somebody and that they're just not getting it. They're not hearing you. So I try really hard to communicate in different ways. And I do use humor as a way to kind of try to bring people along so that it's like not threatening. They can go, oh, that's a ding dong guy. I'll play the ding dong guy. I have no problem doing that as long as you'll listen. To me, it's kind of like a stage clothing or a costume. I'll wear that hat. I'll be the silly guy and do the silly thing as long as you get the information that you need so that when the time comes, you will not be hosed. It's literally as simple as that for me. I'll play the fool. That's fine.
You mentioned a couple of things here that I really want to dovetail in further. You mentioned the fact that your family, you have an army of people there, right?
Yeah.
Prepping, and this could be intimidating, especially to the newbie. So this kind of talks about what we were just talking about. What's a 1911? Why do I need one? How do I clean one? There's so much to know. And let's face it, most of us weren't growing up with a lot of these skills. And these are skills that were lost a couple of generations ago in most instances. So these are things that you have to learn. And once you try to start to wrap your head around it, because it is a process, right? I mean, you don't just wake up one day and go from 0 to 100. There's a whole bunch of numbers in between that you kind of got to go through that process. But you start to realize, or at least for me, I was intimidated by all the things that I didn't know that I needed to know. So I realize now it's a process and a journey to learn this stuff, but I also realize that it's real important because there's no possible way for this guy to know everything I need to know.
Absolutely.
So thankfully, I have a family, and I can kind of assign different jobs or areas of expertise. My daughter, for instance, she's into oils, and she's into making different types of home products and deodorants and lip balms and that sort of thing. So I kind of push her in that direction and say, hey, find us things that we can stop buying at the grocery store and use natural products here. Find a way for us to make them inexpensively so they're better for us, so on and so forth.
Yep.
With your army, do you push people in your family, or at least kind of try to include them in a specific area of expertise that maybe you don't have the time or energy to allocate resources to personally?
Absolutely. And I am a big proponent of, I guess you could say, bloom where you're planted. And what do I mean by that? I mean that, well, let me backtrack. I'm going to come back to that. But here's the thing. One of the jobs that I had in the past was I was a video producer for a very large motivational speaker company. I would work directly with people like Rudy Giuliani, Zig Ziglar, Colin Powell, Peyton Manning, all big sports stars and politicians, everybody from Gorbachev on down. And I was responsible for putting together video interviews in which they would talk, and they were called, they were motivational things. And one thing that kept coming up again and again and again was that people who were super successful, they would say, hey, most people spend 80% of their time and effort and brain power on trying to be good at stuff they're not going to ever excel at. Mm-hmm. And then they spend 20% of their time on the very small things, the one or two things that you're really, really good at. He said, no. He said that almost always, the hyper achievers of the world, they spend 80% of their time on the one or two things that they're really, really good at, and then they farm everything else out. They farm it all out. So it's a shift in focus. And so to answer your question, bloom where you're planted, I fully believe that everybody has a different skill set. You are absolutely different. You are skilled in a way that I am not. And my eldest son, David, has gravitated towards carpentry, and he's really good at it. And I want to foster that in him. So whenever there's a project around the house, I actually will only give him a limited amount of parameters. I'll say, I need this done, and this is what I'm thinking. Go do it. And he goes and problem solves, figures it out, and he blooms where he's planted. He's good with that mechanical knowledge of how to put things together. Another son of mine is very good in the garden. One of my daughters is excellent. She's got a real mother's heart, and she's taken to the animal husbandry. She wants to get into midwifery when she gets older, but she's right there hands-on with the babies and making sure everything is set. So yes, absolutely. What I would say is that you should try to encourage those things that they're good at, and don't make them do all the bull crap that somebody else is good at. I mean, I'm good at X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, it doesn't mean I'm going to ignore all those other tasks because there's so much to do. But don't assign a task that, that one over there is really good at it, but he's out weeding. No. So let him do what he's really good at, and we all work together. The rising tide lifts all ships.
Right on.
And I think it's the same thing with our community. I know that, and you are excellent with finance. Now, why would I ever spend years and years and years trying to figure out the best way to do this, and that when it comes to money and finance and all that, when you've already done that? And it could be a phone call away where I say, hey, I have this problem. What would you do? And that way you're being excellent at what you're excellent at, and I'm not wasting my time, and the community rises.
Right. So there's no way to be a master of all trades, right? I mean, you got to focus on what you can focus on and delegate the rest. Good point. There's something else that you mentioned that I'm just now starting to find, because I'm relatively new at this. I'm 4 or 5 years into this, but really I'd say hardcore the last 2 or 3. What I'm finding, and it sounds like you're experiencing the same thing, is through this, we're able to kind of draw out the skills that our kids are interested in or want to learn more about. And what I'm finding is there may be a real career path in this.
Amen. So, and you know what? I think, and it is amazing to me that since I've been paying attention, the past 5-ish years or whatever, that it has spawned several new industries. I mean, you talk about things like, survival foods, freeze-dried foods. They were there before. They're going through the roof. Sales are going through the roof. Camping gear, survival skills, how to filter water, solar power. I mean, there's a whole industry right there that is just getting ready to explode, especially with that new Tesla battery that was just developed. Man, I can't wait. I want it. I want it. I want to be off grid. I want people to leave me alone and just let us do our thing. And yes, absolutely. I think that career paths are absolutely there, and opportunities there. And you know what? A lot of people can say a lot of things about the country we live in. And yes, there is a life and death struggle going on for our regular everyday freedoms. But one thing that we can still wake up in the morning and know is that if I want to, I can bust my balls and I can make it. I just have to put in the time and effort. And if you pick a path, you can make it. And that has not been removed yet. And hopefully it never will be. But that's why we prepare, right? I guess. I mean, one of the reasons why we prepare is because who knows what today is like, and then who knows what tomorrow will bring.
No, great points. I mean, one of the things that I'm learning through this is that you can make it in this country, absolutely, but you don't have to take the path that society has traditionally told you to take.
Yeah.
Go from A to Z this way. There's several different paths. And through this preparedness community that we're a part of now, I'm finding out that there's all different ways to get to where you want to be. It doesn't have to be the traditional route that we were all taught, from cradle on up. So this has been neat, and we can go on forever. Is there anything else that maybe we didn't touch on that you're interested in touching on before we end?
If I had to wrap up, I would just encourage those who might be watching this and going, wow, this is intriguing. It's interesting. I mean, obviously this guy right here, he's a weirdo and looks funny. But that guy over there, he went to school and stuff, and he's smart. And he's got, banking and all that. Wow. I just play guitar. So whatever. But I would just encourage you that let this be a stepping off point that you would learn to start getting those skills. I mean, I was thinking about this morning, and I don't want to keep going on and on and on, but I was thinking about our conversation the other day, and we were talking about the difference between what money is, and then I started thinking and what it is become, which is vapor. But I was thinking about what would be the difference between today and the stock market crash in the 20s. What would it look like here in the country? And I started really having serious, dreadful thoughts, because back then, everybody farmed. Everybody knew how to do stuff. Everybody knew how to grow food. Everybody knew how to do that. And it was only in the city centers, the jam-packed city centers, that it was really, really the worst. Everybody else lived. Everybody else got by. It was not easy. Nobody knows how to do that stuff now. And I'm fearful that if there were another big crash, we would see serious devastation. We would see serious rioting. I mean, think about how many people are on the government dole. I mean, they say it's astronomical, that it's the highest, that food stamps is the highest it's ever been.
Yeah. And you're talking 47 or 48 million people on food stamps.
Yeah. Now what happens if all of a sudden that dries up for whatever reason?
Oh, it'd be chaos.
They're not going to want to stop eating. They're going to organize. They're going to unionize, and they're going to come and find where the food is, right? Well, that's not going to be enough to spread around. We need to educate ourselves. We need to learn how to do these things. Yep. All of these practical skills. Stop being a throwaway nation. Learn how to weld. Fix the bike. Don't throw it away. You know what? Learn how to grow tomatoes. It could save your life someday. Learn how to purify water. You never know if you're going to need it. We live in Ohio, and Cleveland, not too long ago, a few months ago, they didn't really ever say what the problem was, but they cut off the water in the whole city and said nobody can use it. Something bad's in the lake. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah, no, that was scary for the folks that depended upon that water source, right?
Amen. And so, when people look at, homesteaders and preppers as crazy people, I look at these events and go, you're seriously telling me I'm crazy because I want to be able to provide my kids with fresh water?
Right.
Wow, you are absolutely off your nut.
I'm past the point of having to apologize for that. And I'm glad you feel the same way. So we covered everything from the Pope to Peyton Manning today, and a whole bunch of stuff in between.
Peyton's a good guy too, man. On a personal level, he's a rock star.
Now he seems like it. So what I'd like to say is everybody watching this, if you didn't catch the video that Brad and I did the other day, you can see it on my channel, Carolina Prepper 7, or on Brad's channel, Big Family Homestead. Brad's got a ton of videos out there, and I just love watching them, all the how-to stuff. It amazes me to hear that you've only been doing this for 5 years or so, because it seems like you're light years beyond the things that I want to be doing. So you're definitely an inspiration to me. If you haven't checked out his channel yet, please get over there and subscribe. I know there's going to be a big hug fest again. But please, folks, give us the feedback. Let us know if you like this forum. Let us know some of the new topics you might want us to address. We got some great feedback on the last one, so thank you. Keep it coming. And we'll catch you next time, Brad. Last word to you.
See you. I don't know. That's it. I got nothing, man.
All right, guys. Take care. Thanks, Brad. Have a great day.
Thank you, man. Bye.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the little interview chat thingamabobber, the Homestead Nation. Anyway, if you've got questions or concerns or comments or allegations or accusations, please put them down there in triplicate. Make sure that they're stamped and notarized. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, please go ahead and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It greatly helps our family out. Pass it around. I'm Brad with Big Family Homestead, and you have an amazing day.